Hey there, it's Tuesday, so it's time for another in real life video. This week, we are taking yet another Gentle Viewer submitted question. The person who submitted the question, their username should be on screen right now, right around the bottom of the screen. Anyway, the question that they asked was about the origin of Gordon and why the name Gordon. Gordon is my go-to for naming and, inhabiting a character with certain properties, certain, channel mythos, as it were, sort of attributing that character those properties in some rough way. But yeah, suffice it to say, Gordon shows up pretty much in any game where I have some sort of follower or companion or something like that, right? Some similar situation. Gordon is strictly a follower type character, which has been in several playthroughs that we've done, right? Gordon has been a mud crab. Gordon has been a Daedroth multiple times. Gordon has been a pawn recently in Dragon's Dogma. Gordon has been in Pillars of Eternity when we needed to make some custom party members for a bit. Gordon was there too. And Gordon will continue to persist and exist throughout various playthroughs as time goes on, because I just enjoy the idea behind it. So why Gordon? Why the name Gordon? Well, it was very happenstance. It was just sort of improvised on the moment, as a lot of what happens on the channel is. It's very improv heavy. But Gordon first showed up in Morrowind Mondays. I even took some notes here. Let's see. Gordon first was mentioned, I think, in Morrowind Mondays number 33, volume 1, and physically first appeared in Morrowind Mondays volume 154. Gordon was a Daedroth in Morrowind. Morrowind Mondays, of course, being the longest running sort of video playthrough that we've had on the channel since forever, because it's the first thing that I started. I started as a New Year's resolution. And like I said, we got Gordon. And why Gordon? So the answer to that is multifaceted, in that initially Gordon was just a name that started with the letter G. But there's more to it than that. So why did I need a name that started with the letter G? Well, that is because throughout volume 1 of Morrowind Mondays, and I think here and there we bring it up again every so often, Daedroths in Morrowind and in Oblivion, but really a lot in Morrowind as well, they look very much like alligators or crocodiles. I don't really know the difference. But regardless, they do look like that. And throughout a lot of it, this was before I really got into and sort of had a decent enough grasp on Elder Scrolls lore. I just referred to Daedroths as gator guys, right? I was just going around calling them gator guys and stuff, because I didn't really fully know of Daedroths, right? And gator guy was so much quicker and easier to just roll off the tongue, because they look like alligator guys walking around. They look like half guy, half gator, it was easy as that. So thus christened was gator guy. And I believe it was eventually we wanted to cast our own sort of conjured Daedroth for some reason. I want to say it was because I thought they just looked so stupid. And they do. To be fair, Daedroths do look kind of stupid. They look way more intimidating in Oblivion, but they still kind of look stupid. They still look a little bit dumb. And mind you, not in necessarily a derogatory way, in kind of a fun way as well. It is kind of derogatory to be honest, but also in a fun way, right? They look very goofy. They look like little doofy dudes running around. And I wanted to have one. So why did I also initially want to have this sort of follower character? There was a very specific reason why I thought it would be like a fantastic idea to have this type of character in the game, right? And to continue to exist in other games as well. This was, like I said, it was roughly within the first year of Morrowind Mondays, toward the tail end, the first year of the channel even existing. I realized it would be super useful, being someone who's like doing Let's Plays and playthroughs on my own solo, right? I sort of like, I don't know, I consciously conceived of the idea that this wasn't like a mistake or whatever. But I very deliberately thought, wow, it would be so good if I had another entity to like bounce off of, right? If I had something else to play, like either in jokes and like in various, I don't know, humorous bits. It would be so useful to me as I'm going along through this, cracking stupid jokes and stuff. It would be so useful if I had someone who could play either a straight man or like another comic, right? Another comedian, someone cracking jokes where I'm the butt of the joke or they are the butt of the joke, you know? Thus, I knew I wanted some sort of more permanent follower or something like that. And I got to think, I was like, yeah, this will work in games going forward, where there is no sort of proper follower or whatever, where there's no, like in Skyrim, right? You go around, you've got Sven, you got Lydia, you've got Serana, J'zargo, Karjo, everybody, right? Those are more established characters, even if Lydia is mostly unestablished, right? A lot of the aspects of Lydia are sort of grafted onto her by you in your playthrough, right? So everyone's Lydia is kind of unique, and what she means to every player is kind of a unique thing. It's beautiful, right? It's beautiful. But nonetheless, for me, that is Gordon. And Gordon, like I said, started in Morrowind, was meant to be just a character that I could sort of bounce jokes off of. And of course, we end up expanding that in Oblivion, wherein we have Prior Mabel, who goes on to appear in other games as well, and will continue to do as much whenever there is like a specific mount, like a horse mount or any kind of mount specific thing. Probably not vehicles, I'm not sure, but mounts for sure, like living being mounts are always Prior Mabels. Just as Gordons are always a type of follower or companion or something like that. Anyway, as I said, this is sort of a multifaceted question. Why Gordon itself? We sort of touched on the origin, where Gordon has appeared, why I specifically wanted a G name, but why Gordon specifically? This kind of is, I would say, also multifaceted, or doubly faceted, just two facets, really. Gordon is absolutely inspired by, is like, I don't know if inspired by, is named after someone. And it's not like Gordon Freeman, right? There are a lot of well-known Gordons, even in games. But Gordon is not like Gordon Freeman or... Who's another Gordon, actually? I don't know. Gordon is not really any of those Gordons that you are probably thinking of. Gordon is is named after a much more obscure Gordon. He's named after Flash Gordon from the movie Flash Gordon. And why that Gordon is probably the real question, which Flash Gordon... I haven't seen it in forever, but it's one heck of a trip. If you haven't seen it, go into it like expecting some kind of like weird, goofy shit going on. But yeah, Flash Gordon, check a look. Gosh, I just bumped into the desk there. But yeah, check out Flash Gordon. Maybe I'll even link a clip. Yeah, I'll definitely link a clip in the description to this video. But regardless, Flash Gordon is where it's from. Specifically... in reference to, I forget the exact precise way in which it came up, But I was just riffing on Gator Guy Gordon, on the idea of it. And for some reason, I landed on Gordon because I would be able, and I don't even do it that often, I would be able to yell, "Gordon's alive!" right? Throughout all of that. Evoking, of course, if you're familiar with this, evoking the esteemed Brian Blessed, who plays the villain of Flash Gordon, this hawk guy with very little pants, honestly, very, very little in the way of pants. But he sort of has this, I don't know, this je ne sais quoi, this, if you're unfamiliar with Brian Blessed, he's like a giant of a man. And he's got this real presence to him, right? He's like this big burly dude with a great big beard. I think he's still with us, right? Is he still around? God, I don't even know. But regardless, he delivers a line, not even in that way. He doesn't even deliver it with such a degree of, veracity. There is definitely some oomph to his delivery, but it's more like, "Gordon's alive?" It's more like that. It's more like that rather than very loud and boisterous. But the way in which I was made to be more specifically like aware of that delivery and to key into it more specifically, even though I'd already seen the movie in passing, is from the Yogg's cast, specifically an older Yogg pod. If you're familiar with the Yogg's cast here on YouTube, this dates back to way before what they're doing now with this dates back before their current Grand Theft Auto, Trouble in Terrorist Town. I'm not even sure what all they really do on the main channel. This dates back before they really blew up with Minecraft. This is back when they were doing their old Yogg Pod podcast, when they were more known for World of Warcraft and sort of just riffing on that. And I think they put out a few guides here and there, but they were kind of weird, goofy guides at some points. But yeah, this was from the old WoW days, and that's how I found them. Originally way back when, like I said, before they massively blew up. And I found them through the late Total Biscuit, John Bain. And this was, of course, before he really blew up. This was way back when he still ran his Blue Please podcast. If you're super duper into that sort of situation, but Blue Please was a World of Warcraft podcast run by him, and this was when I first got into him. And if anything, I kind of fell off of his stuff when he got more and more into YouTube and whatnot. But make no mistake, I was very much into it from the podcast standpoint of view when he was talking about World of Warcraft, and he just went on these like long rants and stuff. And I don't know, it was kind of enjoyable for me, even as like a fairly chill player. I did raiding, but I wasn't super like hardcore about it. I wasn't trying to get into like any records or whatever. But yeah, he sort of, in some way, I forget, mentioned them. And I want to say that they even had a falling out at some point, but wanted to make amends. I don't know. It was very complicated. Like I said, I didn't follow them that much throughout that era. That was how I found the Yogg's cast. And I sort of religiously listened to those early Yogg pods, which, thinking back now, way back when I first listened to them, when they first came out, it was a different era. Like a lot of the stuff in those I can just say off the top of my head, has not aged well at all. Right. All of the people involved, I think, have 100% sort of grown up and grown past that stuff and are not entirely like the ways in which they are portrayed in those podcasts. And I would say 100% for the best, right? You know, like people grow and change, and like the internet as it was a different place at the time where we weren't so conscious of ourselves and like shit that we say. But regardless, Brian Blessed saying Gordon's alive in such a way was a huge bit that I think recurred on the Yog Pod, wherein they would have these weird sound drops where one of the hosts, Simon Lane of the Yogs cast, would do like some really stupid, horrible impression of some usually British actor or actress or just pop culture icon of some sort, and it would be like, I'm Brian Blessed, and you're listening to the Young Pod, something like that. And that would just be sort of their drop-ins or dropouts or whatever. It would be for sort of denoting a segue from not even an ad break, because they didn't really have proper ads, because that's how small it was at the time and how, I don't know, indie it kind of was at the time. But they sort of just did them anyway, just for fun, just to sort of break up the segments, because they would record the podcast in different parts rather than just doing it in one sitting. It would be over the course of days if they just so happened to have audio of them like hanging out on Ventrilo at the time. I think it was Ventrilo. Probably, yeah, definitely Ventrilo to begin with, and then stuff like TeamSpeak Mumble as time moved on. But yeah, that's where really I honed in on that line from Brian Blessed and the name Gordon. Oh yeah, other Gordons like Gordon Ramsay, right? That's a big one. Oh, geez, I hit the desk again. Sorry, I just can't stop slamming my fist down. But yeah, that's Gordon. That's where Gordon's from. Not necessarily in reference to anymore in reference to those things, right? Certainly the origin is from there, but Gordon has kind of become his own Gordon, right? Gordon has, like I said, I barely ever say the whole Gordon's alive situation, except whenever I just so happen to remember, oh yeah, that's how it came to be. Yeah, that's Gordon. Gordon's origin, Gordon's sort of why the name Gordon, where Gordon is from. Gordon's first appearance, like I said, Morrowind Mondays, very early, Volume 1. First mentioned in Volume 33, or Volume 1, Part 33 of Morrowind Mondays, and then first appeared as real Gordon, enchanted within a shield. First appeared in that way in Volume 1, Morrowind Mondays, number 54. Yeah, that's it. That's the history of Gordon, as it were, and there'll be many more incarnations and versions of Gordon to come, just as there will be many future Prior Mabels and Lyles and Lilas and whatnot, right? All right. That ought to do it for this one. Bit of a quicker one, right? Because it's just a question and answer. Until next time. Oh, of course, before I forget, as always, I try to remember to mention this, especially when we answer a viewer-submitted question. If a general viewer like yourself has a question that you want to submit, feel free to do so. Leave a comment. It really helps if you leave the comment in an in-real-life video, especially like the most recent one, and have a question mark at the end. Right? I do see every single comment. I do read every single comment. I had some people, last time I mentioned this, gaming the system, as it were, to try and get me to see their comment. I see every comment. But the whole question mark thing is just so that way I can more easily sort through them. Right? That way I can just Control F and find any questions that folks have. So try to include a question mark in there. Try to leave it on an in real life video. Try to make that in real life video the most recent one. And I'll add your question to the growing list of questions that we source from. And probably we'll do another question next week. I'm thinking, unless something, once again, really wild happens, which there have been some wild things happening with continued layoffs, but we kind of already talked about layoffs a fair amount, right? It's just more of the same nightmare, as it were, unfortunately enough. But that ought to do it. That's all about Gordon. Until next time, please take care of each other.